So, I mean, that is the land of unconfirmed.
Yes, we came, we saw, he died.
Did it have anything to do with your visit?
No, I'm sure it did.
Hello everyone, welcome to GGN. Today is Wednesday, October 17th, 2012. I'm Darko, and I'm going to cover the Middle East and start off with Her Majesty Clinton of the Council on Foreign Relations, a member. And you just saw that little quote of her on hearing the news about Gaddafi being killed, and that she was probably her visit had something to do with it, saying what? Clinton claims fault for Libya events to save Obama on the eve of debate. So a lot of diversions and distractions over this election. Of course, I know the people that are diversion creators, like I've mentioned before, that Mel Gibson movie, Edge of Darkness. You got the, the captain or whatever. Basically, he's some unknown factor guy. He's black ops, right? And he talks about how to skew the media and distract them from the real things, the real facts of the story. And the big thing about Libya is what? Is that they should never have gone there to create this regime change, because all that is left is instability, just like Iraq. It's the same thing over and over again. So while everybody's focused on, well, you know, he's too weak on policy, and this was a blunder. This was an example of the Obama foreign policy, and Romney can get it done. No, they shouldn't have even gone there to begin with. That should be the debate. But the globalist says she's claimed responsibility for security failures that led to the nation's envoy to Libya being basically sacked. I take responsibility, she said on a Monday night interview with the major American news broadcaster CNN. I want to avoid some kind of political gotcha. Also, she knows who runs the show, right? Like I said, she's a member of the Council on Foreign Relations. Her and her husband, her husband was an ex-president. They're all globalists, right? He was the head of the globalization push in the United States. And we're seeing the results of that today. She's just following orders, just like Obama. So I'm sure most of you are aware of that. Libya rebels executed Gaddafi loyalists. So a report on dictator's final hours suggests he was executed too. The Libyan rebels appear to have summarily executed at least 66 captured fighters loyal to Gaddafi, and probably the dictator himself when they overran his hometown a year ago, human rights groups said. Yeah, the report details the last hours of Gaddafi's life when he tried to flee the besieged city. That's right. And yeah, it says here Gaddafi's convoy. Gaddafi actually was waving a white flag of surrender when a NATO-led drone basically directed these insurgents and terrorists over there. So, video shows drunk, stoned U.S. security contractors while on duty. So, leaked video: U.S. security contractors in Afghanistan getting blackout drunk and high on narcotics reveals what former employees say was a pattern of outrageous behavior that put Americans' lives at risk and went undetected by U.S. military officials who are supposed to oversee such contractors. Have you ever seen the documentary on Iraq and all the private contractors that everything from the people that were trained to torture, locals that were trained to torture people for basically intelligence agencies of the West, also those that drove the trucks with empty flatbeds into oncoming basically getting under fire by snipers, and they knew it. And they would put them in basically real bad risk just to make runs, because that was all about units. So they would do loads of laundry and stuff like that, and it would actually make the laundry worse. So there was no oversight. We have feds hired British security firm to protect Benghazi Consulate. So I followed it up with this article. I've covered it before. But the State Department had signed a six-figure deal with a British firm, private contractor, to protect the U.S. consulate in Benghazi just 4 months before the sustained attack on the compound. So, and Obama orders drones special operations on standby to kill Benghazi attack suspects. So bombing other countries and killing more suspects in order to look strong and avoid criticism from the neocons is patently illegal. Then we have U.S. Speed's bid to build Libyan commando units. So they're going to build special forces. I think I heard about this about Iraq too, just recently. U.S. government has stepped up efforts to build a Libyan commando unit by American Special Operations Forces aimed at combating extremists in the country, i.e. the same people that they helped fund to overthrow Gaddafi. So $8 million to build a 500-strong elite Libyan force over the next year, which is also interesting because I've been covering recently about the first Marines that went over there. They said that they'd actually had Delta Force as well. So they had Marines over there, Delta Force, probably Marine Recon. So they're already over there. 120 escape in major Libyan prison break. So I wonder if this is where they recruited some of their commandos, right? Libya downplays the situation, and 120 people escaped from the prison. They insist that they're just common criminals. There's usually such major prison breaks are the result of militant attacks to free captured members, is what they did when the uprisings in Libya really started to begin. They went to the prisons and removed all of these Al-Qaeda-linked terrorists and foreigners inside Libya that were jailed, and they released them, not just random criminals who somehow just got out. Then I saw this article. It says a new voice for Pakistan. It seems like kind of like propaganda. Libyans long for security year after Gaddafi killed. You can tell right away when they go in there, and they, just like Iraq, right, where they said it's a major step towards democracy. Libya took a major step towards democracy with its farce elections by electing a national assembly after 42 years of totalitarianism. That's right, a political or dictatorship, right? But it's interesting. But it goes on here and it says the oil sector wasted no time in getting back on its feet, of course, right? So all those big oil companies went right back in there instead of the profits and that going towards infrastructure, and social programs in the country. It'll go straight to the fat cats, right? British Petroleum, Royal Dutch Shell, the same suspects, right? But it goes on here and it says that Gaddafi has left behind him a grim legacy of what? A big police state, a big military, right? They're a dictatorship. They were a big threat. A country without institutions. Without institutions, that's right. Even though they rose the literacy rate up to what? Almost 80%, so no institutions, right? They're talking about intelligence institutions. They're talking about spy institutions. They're talking about those type things, as well as a weak army. Ooh, see, he had a weak army. Oh, and a weak police force. So here we are trying to spread democracy with the biggest police force, the strongest military, colonial military in the world in history, and we're telling them to democratize, and we're calling them totalitarian. But you have a weak police force, army. You don't have much intelligence apparatuses to torture people. So, but the one thing that they did get true or right is what is which has been eclipsed by militias that looted weapons depots during the way. This was all headed by the intelligence agencies themselves, but at the same time, because Libya wasn't that secure as far as it being a big bad military dictatorship, they didn't have all the police force and the military to guard those places. So that's why they went in there and they wreaked havoc after busting out their brothers in the jails. Sweden protests to Israel over Iran sanctions comments. So starting kind of slow with this video. I just want to get this commentary out of the way to set the tone. So I'll probably do this in 3 videos. But this article is very interesting. Just like I said before, I find these patterns. I'll see an article and I'll kind of put it aside, right? If either I can't get to it or whatnot. And then I saw another article. So let me get to this first. Sweden protests to Israel over Iran sanction comments. Sweden has summoned Israeli ambassador to hear strong protests against the Zionist regime's claims that the Nordic states' opposition to EU sanctions against Iran is due to economic benefits. All right, so you go down here and it says the Swedish foreign minister said Tuesday that the reason for summoning the Zionist regime's envoy was odd comments from the Israeli officials. He cited a telecommunications deal between the Swedish telecom companies Ericsson and Tehran as the real reason behind Sweden's opposition to further EU sanctions on Iran, saying the deal would be in jeopardy in case of additional bans. Goes on, says the Swedish foreign minister on Monday described an entirely wrong comments as a smear on Swedish policy, saying, quote, "They must have got this from their own fairy tale factory. Sweden and Israel may have different opinions in some matters, but this isn't the way to handle our dialogue," he said. But the Swedes don't understand that this is how the Zionists carry out dialogue. They'll just bomb you, they'll send you a cyber attack, or they'll just send you an envelope with white powder in it. That's usually good trademarks. U.S. Embassy in Stockholm evacuated. The U.S. Embassy in Stockholm was evacuated on Wednesday. This is October 17th. This other article is from October 16th, so the very next day. They said here, lockdown at the embassy with emergency services and police on scene investigating what media has referred to as a mystery letter containing an unidentified white powder. British man charged with kidnapping 2 journalists in Syria. British man has been charged in the kidnapping of 2 Western journalists in Syria, police said Tuesday, adding to the growing concerns about foreign extremists traveling to the civil war-stricken Arab state and posing a future threat to the West. Ha! Like Libya, right? So they want to make sure that they get their Western journalists in there to skew the story. And yeah, pretty interesting, especially the ones that are from the East, though, that are trying to tell the truth. Even the ones that are from the West trying to tell the truth, and all of a sudden they'll get killed, right? They'll be lured out in front of they call them the rats, just like in Libya, because they fight and run, and they'll track the Syrian government forces to start shelling them, and then they'll run away, and they'll leave the journalists in there to get bombed and killed, and they'll say, "See, Assad's forces did it." Meanwhile, themselves, the Syrian rebels have actually been caught on tape luring people, Syrian, basically loyalists or whatever you call it, Assad loyalists, and luring them into bombing security gates, coercing and forcing them, tying them up, and threatening them to blow up things. And fortunately on the film, it didn't go as planned. This was covered by mainstream media like Al Jazeera or something, along with, of course, torturing and terrorizing civilians, businesses, Christians, and mass graves. So Israel might intervene to prevent Syria's chemical weapons from falling into the wrong hands. I've gone over this over and over again. This is the big dividing factor, kind of like the nukes with Iran. It's the chemical weapons to tie with Syria, Hezbollah, Lebanon, and Iran, which have all, of course, according to Wesley Clark, are the countries that are supposed to go down like dominoes. Erdogan holds surprise meeting with Ahmadinejad to bridge differences over Assad crisis. So Israel will consider a military option against Syria to ensure that the country's chemical weapons do not reach the hands of the extremists. So they will do everything to ensure Syria's weapons do not fall in the hands of the terrorist organizations. So, and like I've already gone through this before, if they get in the hands of the terrorists that the West is supporting, well then that's a reason for them to declare military intervention. Of course, if the government moves the chemical weapons to get them away from the terrorists, well, then they declare that also hostile activities. So, Hezbollah, part of Assad killing machine, says the U.S. Says Hezbollah is working to bolster Assad's regime, and its fighters are part of his killing machine, the U.S. ambassador said, UN on Monday. They're plotting and colluding and cahooting with Iran, says Suzanne Rice of the UN. A Shiite Iraq militants are fighting rebel groups in Syria, an increasingly sectarian proxy war. So I've been covering this little area too as well, the Turkey, Syria, Iraq situation. The unraveling and increasing complexity of the war in Syria is in part the reflection of the great power politics of the region. So Iraq's Shia militants have crossed the border to fight in Syria, often alongside Assad's troops, adding to the sectarian nature of the proxy war there. And just to throw it out there, Iran has been supposedly creating their own little elite force in Syria as well. They're Quds troops or the Revolutionary Guard Corps troops. The news that the Shiite Iraqi militias are fighting in Syria with the Assad government against many other foreign fighters, primarily Sunni. That's of course, the Gulf states, this Sunni, Saudi, Zionist, Western, Anglo military force, I guess you can call it, that have flooded into Syria, just like Libya, to fight alongside the rebel opposition, complicates and compounds an already messy civil conflict rife with foreign fighters and meddling from foreign powers. Because they do have interest, right? They have a huge interest, Iraq does, to get that area under control as far as Syria goes. It's a good article. Go in there and read it. Links will be posted. It kind of talks about what I said. On one hand, there's Sunni militants flooding into Syria from all over the Arab world, including Sunni fighters from Iraq, Sunni Gulf states that are trying to topple Assad. And they said that they have ties with jihadists fighting under the banner of al-Qaeda. And on the other hand, you have Shiite militias from Iraq to keep Assad in power. He said one of them are people that were anti-U.S. Iraq cleric al-Sadr Mahdi army. So he said Iran-backed Badr group. So many of the Shiite militants claim pledged loyalty to Iran's supreme Shiite religious leader. Also says that Reuters, well this is Reuters of course, but it says Hezbollah militias who once waged a bloody war against American troops. Yeah, these Gulf states, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, they all want a Sunni ally will arise in Syria. They're talking about regime change. Then I saw this article. Iraq intends deploying troops in the north to prevent Turkish army military operations. Iraq urges the Kurdish autonomy to approve deployment of troops on the border with Turkey to prevent Turkish troops from entering Iraq, as well as to stop airstrikes on the country against the militants of Kurdistan Workers' Party, saying, "We urge the Kurdish autonomy to provide the central government with all the necessary rights to deploy troops on the border with Turkey to prevent Turkish troops from entering Iraq." Please join me in part 2. This is GGN and I'm Darko. Thank you.